Throw clear incoming. Look. You? No, I don't need it. You don't need it, chat. It's a crutch. You can improve yourself, chat. You can do better. You can be better. If you set your mind to it, you don't need to clear your throat to start a YouTube video. You know what I mean? So, we're going to talk about the aspect of Hestia for the rail here, and kind of a how to do it, how to use it, how to best play with the aspect of Hestia. I would consider this the safest aspect in the game, personally. It's a good way to get the Pierce Butterfly achievement here on Steam if you want to use that keepsake. That's Thanatos' keepsake. It's going to be almost an over-explained run, not like 100% over-explained. I'm not going to go super slow, but we're going to go over more detail than we normally do in like the fun runs. And I even got the controller inputs here in case you're curious about it. So first, let's take a look at the mirror. Some of these aren't crazy important. You could do Shadow, you could do Fiery. It's kind of not a big deal. Fiery, it feels like the meta in terms of like veteran players tends to lean more into Fiery presence. We're gonna put on Stygian Soul. Whenever you're not planning to do a cast build, you kind of want to use Stygian Soul because Hermes offers one less possible boon when you use Stygian. If you use Infernal Soul, Hermes can offer you both Flurry Cast and Quick Reload. If you use Stygian Soul, Hermes can only offer you Auto Reload, so it thins Hermes boon pool, so that's why we're gonna do that. Could do Thick Skin, High Confidence. I plan to do 32 Heat, so I'm just gonna use Thick Skin. Family Favorites is pretty much always gonna happen most of the time when I play the game. You always use Dark Foresight. God's Pride, yeah, you want to do that unless you have a specific dual boon in mind. When we're using Aspect of Hestia, the build is kind of centered around just using the attack a lot and always Faded Persuasion. So here's what happens with the Aspect of Hestia and how the bread and butter and how you're going to use it. So step one, if you're playing with a controller, and possibly if you're playing with mouse and keyboard too, I don't know, you gotta change the button for reload. R3, as they call it, is horrible. Taking your thumb off of the buttons on your controller is, you don't want to have to do that. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to do that to do anything, really. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this. I'm gonna change it to left trigger, and I'm just gonna swap it. Yeah, I'll put the summon on R3, and that's gonna be fine. And everything else is kind of fine after that. You have to do this. If you don't do this, reloading on the rail is gonna suck. You're not gonna like it. Trust me. I know. I was resistant to it too way back in the day, briefly. But once you start it, and it doesn't take that long to get used to it. Once you start doing it, it's just so much simpler. So Aspect of Hestia, I guess if you don't know what it does, after you manually reload, your next shot is empowered. This basically means that if you're going to use Aspect of Hestia, you pretty much want to reload after every single shot. Sure, we can talk about all these tiny exceptions, like if you got a room full of numbskulls, so you don't have to reload between every single enemy. But that's really just not that important. It's more important that you get used to the rhythm of playing the Aspect where you just reload between every single shot, because every single boss, that's what you're going to want to do. Now, if you don't have Aspect of Hestia maxed with your Titan Blood, in terms of level, it's probably not going to feel great. This is one of those aspects where it's not going to feel amazing until you have it maxed with Titan Blood. Like level 1 Hestia does not feel that good. So that's our reload. You can reload no matter what, even if you have full ammo, even if you pick up a hammer like Delta Chamber for some reason, you can still reload. Nothing bricks Hestia, so to speak. So Hestia also, what it doesn't really say here is that the empowered shot here actually has a much higher range as well. So that's why it is such a safe aspect, because you can hang out from a ridiculous range and get your enemies. So just get in this rhythm, shoot, reload, shoot, reload. For a long time, in fact, I still do it, you might accidentally reload a couple times, you might accidentally attack a bit more, but don't hold down the attack button anymore like you normally would with the rail. But yeah, you just gotta, the way I do it with my thumb, I just roll my thumb across the dash button and into the attack button. So if you watch it here, so it's kind of like just from down to up, if that makes any amount of sense. You get used to doing that. You don't have to get into the dash strikes right away. It's not crazy important. Now, there's a lot of different useful keepsake here. Hestia is really good with something like the Shattered Shackle. You can start out with a really, really high attack and a special damage boost. Cast doesn't really matter there at all. So that's very useful. You could carry it for the whole run. This is the best aspect to do a boonless run with. Should we just do a Boonless run, chat? Do you want to kind of showcase the power of Hestia? We could try. So in which case you're going to use the Shattered Shackle the whole time. You could even do something like, I was going to use the Lambent Plume just for fun. Like I said earlier, the Pierced Butterfly, this is probably the best case scenario for the Pierced Butterfly. So I definitely recommend that. Boonless run at 32 heat, in which case we can probably turn up something like Convenience Fee. We'll have to take some boons along the way, but we can always sell them later. So we can... I guess I'll just do that, actually. Just do 1 Convenience Fee. Okay. Let it begin. We're going to do 32 heat. This Pact of Punishment is mostly just for me. This is not what I'd recommend for everyone to do, but I guess call this a showcase of just how powerful the aspect of Hestia really is. If I ever lose you in terms of the terminology, let me know. So Boonless run, when we say Boonless, what that really means is that when you actually reach Hades, you have no boons in your inventory. Because there's going to be times where you're forced to take boons, like right now. You just got to sell them at the Purging Wells when you can. There's no other way around it. You can try to avoid boons otherwise still too, but it's not going to be that easy. So what the heck do I want here for now? I guess I'll take a special boon. Remember, we have the Shackle. So boom, we're already hitting for 420 on the attack with the Shackle. And that's pretty much going to be it for the whole run. Okay. Repeat all that. You got it, baby. So you'll see me just throwing out specials here and there. I can't remember if Chaos counts. But I think Chaos is technically fine, but they call it Boons of Chaos. So you know what? Just to prove the point, we'll skip Chaos here too. Default, thank you so much for the 22 months. Don't worry if you can't do all the things that I'm saying you should be doing at once. Don't worry about it. It takes practice. Everything does. It's a game. I was not instantly good at it. I'm still not even good at it, as we can see. Woo. Trying to get that witch over there. You do want to check out the special practically on cooldown, usually while you wait for Zag to reload. So if you watch it, I might do this, right into special, then reload. Or rather, no, reload and then special as you do it. And it kind of interrupts it to make it a little bit easier. Should you always sell everything at Wells, or should you carry certain boons as long as possible? If you want to get the special dialogue, you should play it safe and just sell everything as often as possible. It's still possible you get screwed in sticks and you're forced to take a boon door because you got too many paths or something like that, and there's just literally nothing you can do about it. All right, so out of these, Seeking Fire is a really terrible hammer. Do not take it. Explosive Fire is mediocre. Cluster Bomb, you might say, well, Hestia is about the attack, so you don't need Cluster Bomb. It's still really good. It's still very, very good. It's bad while we have a special boon, but yeah. So again, just kind of like chucking out that special. You'll eventually get used to the timing. It's a little bit, I find it kind of hard when I have like triple bomb to get the timing down. To mash the special 3 times. Some other great hammers for Hestia. Piercing Fire is really good. Ricochet Fire is probably the best in slot. Delicious. For the most part. So we're forced to take another boon here. Doesn't really matter. Hymns. Let's go sneak. We're gonna save our Megs for the perfect moments and discuss that. Sneak really only has 2 moves. It can either teleport a little bit away from you and shoot at you, or it can teleport behind you and try to give you a melee move. And that's when you get the opening to actually attack. I guess I should have done Fated Authority in hindsight if we were trying to do a Boonless run, huh? I forgot, actually. Oh, what do you know? What do you know, V-Dude? What do you know? What do you know? Jinx! I think I didn't decide to do that until after we had looked at the mirror, so... It's kind of a big deal if you want to get the special dialogue from Hades. All he does is say, like, congrats on getting here without the help of the gods or something like that. Again, we might get screwed by RNG and sticks, but yeah. This aspect should easily carry you for a Boonless run. It doesn't matter. We plan to sell them. We'll go through the shop just to try to buy some max health here, basically. We don't buy Hermes or anything there. That's fine. I'm still gonna take money. Chad, I can't get the Boldy boon. Sorry. That would be against the rules. You know what I mean? That would be against the rules.
A pleasure.
The sneak actually has a special trait that Hades does. Chat. Can anyone guess what that is off the top of your noodles?
Hope I didn't keep
What does the sneak do that Hades also does?
Red blood,
It says boons of Boldy or whatever. Invis, teleport, the darkness, yeah. I guess to be a little more specific, when both Hades and the sneak teleport away, they purge all debuffs from themselves. Yeah, they purge all the status effects. Come on, shoot. Yep. So that can be a problem if you're trying to do like a Dionysus
I don't like her very much.
run or something like that. We're just going to keep selling everything as often as possible here. Which means we got to leave the Shattered Shackle on the whole time because we don't want to lose out on that. Now, if you weren't doing a Boonless run, you'd want like Artemis or Aphrodite on the attack/special for Hestia. Both on the attack and special, you'd want Artemis or Aphrodite. Those are going to be the best. You know, Demeter and Athena are fine. Like, they can do it if you see the high rarity get offered. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all you want. Back to no boons.
So much for Tartarus.
Back to no boons. I'm out of coffee. Sad day. Boldy's not a god? I feel like that was a bigger insult to Boldy than what I said. Boldy is a god. Someone requested a Boldy only run, like with every single room reward is a boon from Boldy. And now I'm kind of curious how that would work out. It could probably look something like this too, right? Come on. Biggest ambiguity bonus. Yeah, a little tidbit in case you don't know. Ambiguity bonus does literally nothing. No, there's no secret. There's nothing special. There's no, like, hidden feature behind it. I think, like, in the code, it's called something like useless boon, even. Like, that's the official name. Do.
Satisfied.
Grant the sell side hustle later. So Eurydice, not very useful for this. I mean, you can increase the rarity of side hustle for when we sell it, I guess. You could do that, or you could take Nectar to get higher rarity boons, but you just don't need a lot of money. Especially a run like this where we can't buy boons, right? Or we shouldn't be buying boons. So what are you going to do with all that money?
Sure.
Not a whole lot. But it's the best you can do. Only difference between Boonless would be no extra max health. I mean, Boldy gives you tiny bonuses, I guess. I don't know if we could give like a Boldy window when we actually pick it up, or would it just wind up being you just get like a random one every room or something like that. I don't know. We have to take a boon, including from the Erebus Gate.
Exclusive access.
Erebus Gates. A lot of people ask what Erebus Gates. When do you take them? When do you not take them? Honestly, for the most part, you could simply... Oh, I can lose the air biscuit on purpose. For the most part, you could probably just ignore air biscuits entirely. There might be some times where, like, oh, it was optimal to do the air biscuit here.
What?
I'm gonna let him hit me so I don't get the boon. Onion run!
Oh, that's it.
Let's go, baby.
One of Charon's shots.
Take that. Done. You gotta be careful. You don't want to... You might be tempted to buy boons like, oh, I'll just take it for now and I'll sell it later. But you can run into issues where you just wind up with too many boons and you can't sell them all. If you're trying to go for this. But yeah, air biscuits, like, you'd never take... Like, some people ask, like, is it ever optimal in a speedrun to take an air biscuit? Nope, never. What about high heat run? Maybe. Maybe. Kinda doesn't matter what we take here for now. We'll just take the free max health now. All right. We're doing gooch. We're doing gooch. I've seen an uptick in like superstitions around the stick sacks. Stick sack and when it can and cannot appear. Solve Raven, welcome aboard. Thank you for that prime. Legendary 1 sack, it is not possible. The way the sack works is that after a certain chamber number, you can see your chamber number if you hit select. See how in the top right it says chamber 24. Learning will always be in chamber 24. Subtract a few exclusions that I won't bother explaining here. Heroes will always be in chamber 36. Everything's fixed like that. So, after you pass a certain chamber number when you're in sticks, that's when the sack becomes possible to see. And that is... I don't remember the actual number, but it's not possible to get it before the end of the first path in sticks. But once you enter the second path, that's when you surpass the required number, the minimum. And for every single chamber, including the small ones, the odds go up that you get the sack. So by the end of a second path, your odds of getting the sack are somewhere, I think, around 54%. And it doesn't matter which stores you choose. There's no, like, the skull doors are higher or lower likelihood, or it's impossible, or it's more possible. No. It's very straightforward. Very straightforward. You might see people like myself take the skull chambers first a lot, and that is simply because they generally are faster and easier than an actual full chamber there, interestingly. If you have enough damage. I feel like in every circumstance, I often say if you have enough damage, you go for it. I think it just like you just always do it though. You get a better reward, and often the chambers are just gonna be easier for you. Can you get no sack? Nope. The odds of getting a what they call a 5 sack, which means you're forced to do all 5 paths, are really low. I forget what it is off the top of my head. I haven't said this statistic out loud, but I think it's like in the realm of 2%. If you catch all the fish, you're guaranteed a 2 sack. Yeah, Mew's also under the truck. So Flurry Fire does nothing for Hestia since you're constantly reloading. Explosive Fire is still weak. Piercing Fire is okay. We didn't get Rocket Bomb. That would have been really goated with lots of sauce, but what can you do? Piercing Fire is pretty decent, though. 5 sack guaranteed if you're on PB pace. Yep. Very small thing. Enemies always spawn facing the right. This is most useful in Elysium, where you might have the shield guy spawning in, right? So if you have time, you can try to be to the left of the enemies as they spawn in to make sure you actually hit them in the back, the shieldy boys at least. We have tons of money, so we're just going to spend it, but I'm not going to bother with Flame Wheel release also. When it comes to the Pact of Punishment, I won't go too deep into it, but packs like Benefits Package, Underworld Customs, they're just free heat. Middle Management, all three of those, free heat. Kind of just, you should be using them at 32 easily. You should probably use them at 16 heat even. Better to guide the flame wheels into obstacles than actually destroy them. I mean, yeah, that's like a simple way to do it for sure. We have to take a boon, so I guess we'll take the dash for now. Try to avoid the mini boss, but we might have to take it anyway. So if you just hide around like edges like this, and then you just kind of dash between these areas that you can't actually walk through, the flame wheels will destroy themselves on the terrain often. I'll explain a little bit about Meg if you want to use Meg more effectively when we get to the heroes, because that's where it's going to be most useful. Doesn't really matter. You still don't want an attack boon though. Patty. When it comes to event rooms like fountain rooms and Patty, it's just RNG if they get offered or not. There's no way to really manipulate it. I guess if you want to increase your odds of seeing fountain rooms, you would avoid things like trial rooms and shops and things that can't be fountain rooms. Like a trial room cannot be a fountain room as well.
How can I be of you?
So that's often why you'll see me avoid trials where you get the 2 boons offered. You just go for the jerky here.
Take it. Thank you.
Go for max out. Ah! Holy shit! I guess I walked into that. Aren't trials longer? Well, this isn't a speed run, so it's not a big deal. I know I have a 5-minute deadline on, but it shouldn't be a problem. Trials generally take longer. Enemies spawn in more slowly, and you kind of have like more talking between the gods and stuff. They're also just more dangerous. But we'll save our rolls for the wells before Hades. Since we have piercing fire, we don't even have to worry about the shieldy boys. I mean, trials are good. You get 2 boons, right? So in like some kind of casual run, like they're good. They're just not good in speed runs, which is why you would not normally see someone like myself take it. And I oftentimes wouldn't even take it in a fun run just to keep the pacing up. It kind of depends. You cannot be offered dual boons when you're in a trial. Doesn't matter whose dual boon it is, whether it's from the 2 gods or not from the 2 gods. You can get legendaries though. Don't need the money. Don't want a palm. Let's go this way. Yeah, I guess if you're doing tight deadline 3, you might avoid trials. It just depends how comfortable you are. I don't think it's like that much longer where you would need to, like, you never do a trial. I don't think that's ever the case.
Let's fight.
Because it might be worth it for your build to take the trial. Okay, Meg, let me take a sippy. When you're summoning Meg, Meg will always summon perpendicular to the way that Zagreus is facing. So if you make sure that Zag is facing straight north, Meg will drop from west to east per circles, if that makes sense, in a perfect line. So the best way to tee up the heroes here is just to simply tap up on your controller or your keyboard, summon Meg. You gotta wait a second or 2 to make sure she actually starts dropping the circles, and then you can start moving. So I tap just up, I summon Meg, I wait a second, go. Meg on the witches. That's definitely a more finicky setup because you don't really want it to be straight up or down. I believe the speedrunners use a setup where when auto aim's on Zag, you can get, so Zag, if you tap the attack button, you can make it so that Zag is facing directly at the topmost witch, and if you summon Meg after that, it happens to be the perfect angle to hit all the witches. splash dash can mess up Meg on heroes. This is true. So, that's getting elaborate, but there's kind of this weird thing. It's only on Theseus in reality, where if you hit Theseus with a knockback move, as you're trying to use Meg, Theseus will also block the Meg damage. Long story short. I don't know how much you should worry about that, though. In terms of general hero advice, I know I kind of just talked all the way through that fight and not about the fight itself. Again, if you get into the habit, we even had Meg's dash to make things like extra safe. If you get in the habit of just like dash, reload, dash, reload, dash, reload, dash, attack, reload, I should say, it'll be easy. You have to trust me. Let's roll this once since we have lots of money to spend and not much to spend it on. I guess I'll even roll it twice. Did I say Meg's dash? You know what I meant.
So close.
Otherwise, you'll probably see me just focus on Asterius and dodge Theseus. Theseus is a bit more predictable when he's on his chariot there, where he just kind of walks around. He just kind of patrols around the chamber, and if you see him slow him down, that probably means he's gonna do the bullet spray through the center of the arena, and he usually does that twice. He'll go diagonally through the arena, 2 bullets, come back around, and go diagonally the other way and create an X pattern. Do we want to anvil for fun? How much money do I get from this? Not enough. I lost money, chat. I'll think about that. I'll think about that. Oh, we got 3 boons on offer here, so if we don't get a 2-sack, it's gonna be bad news. That means actually we cannot get the Boonless, but we can say that we did the best we could without Fated Authority. But yeah, I messed up by not taking Fated Authority. It's fine, we'll just get a 2-sack. Combo of boons I recommend Zag Aspect Fist. It works with mostly anything. Someone like Zeus on the attack, and then you try to get his secondary boon Jolted or Static Discharge. Does a lot of damage. That's like a tier 2 boon that electrifies the enemy that deals damage when they attack. The only boons that like are kind of like an always take if they get offered are boons like Athena's Dash. It's just like probably the strongest single boon in the game. You also got things like plus dashes from Hermes. Like, it's never wrong to take that, especially as a new player. The more you play, I can start to recommend things like Hyper Sprint from Hermes too, which gives you move speed after dashing, because that segues into a boon called Rush Delivery that increases your damage based on your move speed.
Shiny.
Do a boon path and then a non-boon path and hope for a purging well. I think the odds are just greater if we get a 2-sack though at that point. Come on, baby. We spend our last roll here. We'll take that. Guess I'll take Centaur Soul. But Lance, thank you so much for that prime.
Should help keep me going.
Okay, out of rolls. Do.
It's no use.
You would normally feel a drop off here in terms of damage when using Hestia. That's normal. It's normal. In fact, I feel a drop off here. It might not be super noticeable just watching, but I definitely feel like this is not as strong as you could be because we have no boons, right? Like, you will start to feel it. Even like something passive like Family Favorites would normally give you just a little bit more damage, you know? Yay! Boonless run. Do. So if I didn't forget, we could have, and we had Fated Authority, we could have done those 2 chambers first, right? And then you could roll this to try to get money, palm, or health offered. Y'all want me to anvil for fun? It's not bad. I wouldn't recommend the anvil most of the time. Assuming you made the correct decisions in your hammer offers throughout the run, the anvil's more for fun than it is for an objectively good idea. Flurry fire, piercing fire, targeting system. Flurry fire doesn't do anything with Hestia. Targeting system is pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Ares attack's the best attack if you know what you're doing, or the worst if you don't. That's probably... Yeah, that's one way to put it, for sure. Ghost White, what's up? Thank you so much for the 6. Oh,
Have you truly come all this way without assistance from your relatives? Or were you overzealous at a pool of purging?
Wouldn't you like to know? Not even Nyx believed that I could come this far without aid from the Olympians. Maybe I just have a knack for proving everybody wrong.
yeah.
You have a knack for being struck down in various ignoble ways. That much is certain. Come then. Show me what you yourself can do.
Ghost White, thank you so much for the 6 months. Welcome to the Hermes Club. Targeting system increases the damage from summons. This is true. There's not a lot of things that do that. It's kind of hit or miss. Oh, God. This is forced overtime, extreme measures 4, so it's going to be a bit tough here for me. I'm going to save Meg for the toughest part of the fight, which is usually after the second set of summons. Really, Dad?
I'll send your wretches back where they belong.
Darkness. Darkness.
Woo! Want to try to keep up that targeting system debuff as much as possible. That's what that swirly effect around Daddy is. You can dash right into the spin if you can get the timing down. Otherwise, you just gotta like hope you have some movement to stay away from Dad. Now, summoning Meg, especially on forced overtime 40%, you want to wait for certain moments like this right after the spin. I was a little late on it, though. Whew.
Like that?
Come on and die.
On extreme measures 4, you cannot hug Dad during the lasers. At the end of Dad's combo, the 1-2-3 move, he'll either throw the spear or do a big spin. So you got to be prepared for both. Like this, he chose to do a spin there instead of the throw. The throw deals a lot of damage. I think the base damage is 50. If he starts out a combination with a spin, it means he's always going to do a double spin with extreme measures 4.
Dead souls restore my strength.
During the heals, if you destroy the glowing pots, you can prevent some of the healing. It's kind of hard to do, especially if you have forced overtime on, because then that he destroys the pots faster and gets the healing off faster.
You're going.
Okay. You got to use these pillars to good effect. So here comes Cerberus. This corner down here is the easiest way to try to avoid getting hit by the circle Cerberus. You can actually what they call pause buffer here, which means you kind of pause and unpause to try to see where those circles are going to be. Because it's not foolproof. You can't just like stand there and guarantee not get hit. Some red circles can still appear in those in that area. Hey, buddy.
Let's see you deal with
Damn it, got boiling blood. Boiling blood makes you take double damage if you don't know. So that's a good time to like cool off. Kind of just avoid them during that moment until the skull falls off you. In phase 3, he always does the spear throw at the end of the combo. He will no longer do a spin. This combo is the one I'm talking about. Damn it. Woo! Spicy. I wasn't worried for a second, you know what I mean? Not even for a second, you know what I mean? Boonless, Extreme Measures 4. Run. Only a minute 52 left, yeah. It's tough, it's tough. Obviously you would not, if you're just trying to get that Boonless dialogue that we got there, you wouldn't want to do Extreme Measures 4. It's challenging, it's actually quite challenging. And that was with probably the best case scenario in terms of which aspect to use. 100% Olympian free. Shazam. You know what I mean? That's with piercing fire targeting system, and that's pretty much all we had. We didn't get any attack jerkies that carried us to daddy either. But yeah. YouTube, if you got questions for me, make sure you leave them in the comments. I'm willing to answer. Thank you so much. Good night. Touch. Touch! Oh!